Hi, my name is Jeff Davies, and I am a member of the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure team. And in this test drive number 7, we're going to cover the file storage service of OCI. So as usual, we navigate to jeffdavies.org because I've centrally located a bunch of links here for you to make it easier. And we're going to open up the test drive Labs 100. Click on that and navigate down to the README file and click on the Lab 100 lab folder and click on file storage. So the prerequisites are the usual. You need to have a test drive account with a tenancy established, a username and a password. You should have received information how to do that. And if you're at Lab 7 at this point, I'm sure you've already got it covered. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to log into the cloud. I'll skip over that for the purpose of this video. You've seen it done a million times now. And we will begin with practice 1, configuring VCN security list rules for file storage. Okay, so just a quick note. When you create a VCN, a default security list is also created. The rules in the security list are used to allow or deny traffic to the entire VCN or a specific subnet of the VCN. Before we can mount a file system, we're going to have to configure a security list rule to allow traffic to the mount target subnet. File storage requires stateful ingress rules to TCP ports 111, 2048, 2049, and 2050, and a stateful ingress rule to UDP ports 111 and 2048. So to do this, we're going to open the navigation menu. We're going to go to Networking, Virtual Cloud Networks. We're going to make sure we're in our demo compartment as usual. And we're going to click on our Hands-on Lab VCN. And once in the VCN, we're going to click on Security Lists. We've got 2. And we're going to click on the default security list for OCI. We want to be sure Ingress Rules is selected, and we're going to add our first ingress rule. So our CIDR block is going to be the usual 10.0.0.0/16. And that's going to be for TCP/IP. Source port range, we leave default all. For the destination port range, we're going to do 2048-2050, so that I'll cover 2048, 2049, and 2050. And then we'll press the Add Additional Ingress Rule button. And that's going to tack on another rule towards the bottom, ingress rule number 2. We're going to set that for UDP. We want the same subnet. Destination port range for UDP is only 2048 for this particular rule. And we're going to add our third ingress rule. So we need to scroll down when we do that because those get tacked onto the bottom. So this is again going to be for the same CIDR block. This one here is for TCP/IP. And the destination port range is 111. And this one's going to be for UDP. Same CIDR block. And for 111. And we're going to say add ingress rules. Now we'll add all of those rules at once. Now we're going to create a file system. You can create a shared file system in the cloud using the file storage service. When you use the console, creating a file system also creates a mount target that your compute instance uses to access and write to the file system. Once a mount target is created, multiple file systems can be associated with it. Using the API or the command line interface, you can create file systems and mount targets independently of each other. To do this, we're going to go back to the main menu. We're going to click File Storage, and then File Systems. We're going to click the Create File System button, and then we want to click Edit Details here. So for the name, let's give it something a little more meaningful. FFS Storage for file system service storage, the availability domain should default to the correct one, whichever your default availability domain is. In my case here, I'm using Phoenix. We'll leave it with the encrypt keys. Scroll down. You can skip over the export information, but we want to edit details on the mount target information. So it's going to need a name, and to keep it aligned with the other one, we're going to call it FSS mount. Virtual Cloud Network should default to the correct one automatically. Subnet, we want to have a public subnet. So it's going to be this regional public subnet. We can skip over the tagging for now and press the Create button. The file system storage is created pretty quickly. It's just going to be 5-10 seconds, and it should come up for you. Now let's cover how to mount the file system. Users of Ubuntu and Linux operating systems can use the command line to connect to a file system and write files. Mount targets serve as a file system's network access point. After your mount target is assigned an IP address, you can use it to mount the file system. On the instance from which you want to mount the file system, you need to install an NFS client and create a mount point. When you mount the file system, the mount point effectively represents the root directory of the file storage system, allowing you to write files to the file system. So the first thing we're going to do is to connect to the instance using the terminal. If you've forgotten your IP address, you can just navigate back to your web server and copy and paste that IP address back in. So let's get back to where we were. Now to see the correct mount commands for your file system, click on the file system that you just created and click on Mount Commands. A dialog will pop up and it'll give you all the commands that you need to install the NFS client, create the mount point, and then finally mount the file system in your instance. So we'll copy the first one and we will paste it in to execute it. Just say yes, it's okay. Okay, first one's done. We'll copy the second command and paste that. And finally, we'll copy the last command and paste that in. Okay, so if we change directory to the root directory doing a cd/ command, you can do a listing and you can see the mount folder there, which has our mount target. You can see our file storage. And we can use it just like we would use regular file storage. Now, you may have to set permissions, but if I use sudo, I can say make dir test. And there you see the whole thing. And that's it for Lab 7. It's just that quick and easy to create file systems and mount them. Thank you very much, and we will see you in Lab 8 next.